There are multiple answers to the question, what is quantum storytelling and what is together telling? Both have multiple answers, and they're related. These answers are dialogic to one another. I'm going to show you 6 different answers. Ask Dr. Fred Alan Wolf, the quantum physicist, to explain the double-slit experiment.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double-slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through 2 slits, we get this, 2 bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum.
Physicist Fred Alan Wolf sees a relationship between shamanism and other spiritual practices and quantum physics. So this is an example of quantum storytelling.
Strong tie-in here. Shamans, for example, deal in a world of spirits. They deal in mythological connections between events. They're in a world that Jung would call a world of synchronicity. For example, in China, if a shaman is going to heal you, and on that particular day when the shaman is coming to you, he notices a bird flying north to south or east to west, that will affect your healing. In other words, that's a message to him about what type of healing you need to undergo. So the shamans are constantly dealing with, I would say, synchronicities and mythical elements. A bird doesn't just mean a bird, it means something having to do with flight, or it may have something to do with the dead spirit that's flown. Because of their belief structure in this, as much as our scientific belief structure in things like particles, they see the world differently. Western scientists...
One follows Karen Barad's lead. She privileges Niels Bohr over Werner Heisenberg. There's some big dispute going on here. Let's see what it is.
An explosive end to the great friendship of 2 of the 20th century's greatest scientists, Werner Heisenberg and Niels Bohr.
Karen Barad, in her article, asked why did Werner Heisenberg go to Copenhagen during the war? Was it to find out from Niels Bohr if the Allies were ready to build a uranium bomb? Or was it to take back the secrets from Niels Bohr to Adolf Hitler? So this is a play that Karen Barad is quoting, and I found a copy of the play in a movie online. It's by Michael Freyen, and it's called Copenhagen. Slavoj Žižek, he has a quantum storytelling in his book Less Than Nothing, which has a whole section on Karen Barad's work. He wants Karen Barad to adopt a more dialectic approach, to include spirituality in the approach. At least that's what Slavoj wants. But he's very complimentary about entanglement and quite a number of things in Karen Barad's work. So the dialogues are not strictly opposed to one another, but Slavoj does offer some wrinkles. Very creative genius. Let's hear him talk about quantum physics and video games, and it's a good example of quantum storytelling.
You know that the universe of video games, I'm talking about simple video games, you know, that I am too stupid to play them, too old, but I enjoy observing my son playing them. The world there is not perfectly programmed. For example, in the back you see a forest, but it's not part of the game to go there. So it's meaningless to ask, oh, I want to see those trees there in detail. It's not in the program. They exist only as this blurred, incomplete background. Or, most stupid example, the interior of a house. If in the game that you are playing, it's not part of the rules that you can enter the house, then of course, why lose time? The interior is not programmed, you know. It's meaningless. And the idea is this one, that, it's a beautiful one, that in creating our world, but you can give atheist reading to it, God was a lazy programmer. God underestimated us. He thought humans are too stupid to move beyond atom. So why should I bother there with programming, position, and velocity? They will never reach that point. And we, as it were, caught God by his pants down, you know, as you say. We went too far. We approached this incompleteness of the universe. And I think this is something really worth thinking about.
Quantum storytelling, I'll call it. There's an implicative order of our consciousness and an explicate order of stuff out there. And the two fold in on each other. So let's see how he explains it.
Unfolds everything that you know or see, right? So you're not acting mechanistically in the sense of being pushed and pulled by objects in the surroundings, but rather according to your consciousness of them you act. So consciousness is really our most immediate experience of this implicate order. And you might think of nets of consciousness that are finer and finer, or we may think of capturing finer and finer aspects of the implicate order. Right? I think there's an intelligence that's implicit there, you see, to say that a kind of intelligence unfolds. Right? The source of intelligence is not necessarily in the brain, you see, the ultimate source, but much more enfolded into the whole. Right? Now, the question of whether you want to call it God, that depends on what you mean by the word, you see, because taking it as a personal God might restrict it in some way.
We had at the Quantum Storytelling Conference was by Gregory Cajete, Don Pepillon, and Leroy Littlebear. Here we're going to hear from Leroy Littlebear. He works with David Boje doing dialogical circles, and I want to get a sense of his quantum storytelling for you.
David Boje was interested in Blackfoot metaphysics because the English language has to become a lot more process-oriented in trying to explain some of the things that happens in the subatomic level. And that process-oriented approach to English he was referring to as the real mode. And that's what he was working on. And when I understood that, I said to him, hey, Blackfoot, which I grew up in, is a whole lot more process-oriented and so on. And I jokingly told him, hey, quit the real mode. Hey, just learn Blackfoot, you know? In the Blackfoot mind, nothing is static. Everything is always on the move. And you can never predict what is going to happen.
Different physics positions has entered into the movies. Mortal Engines, Prince of Darkness, Tenet, Multiverse, The Atom Project, Palm Springs, Avengers, Dr. Strangelove. Let's look here at something from the Atom Project.
You know what you have to do. Stop time travel from ever being invented. Boom.
What's your plan?
Well, I'm not going to explain my plan to a 12-year-old nerd with an
You don't
inhaler because I do
have
not
a plan.
have a plan, but I know somebody who does.
Dad.
I'm the godfather of time travel?
The Atom Project. If we don't pull this off, we're not getting back. What do you say, kid?
There you have it. There are many quantum storytelling discourses from different kinds of physicists, those that believe in just straight up physics, mathematics, those that believe that there's entanglement, but not a spiritual force, those that believe there is a spiritual force. And these quantum physics approaches are dialogic with others, each other. And it's an unfinalized polyphony. It doesn't reach agreement. And that was really demonstrated in the theater excerpts that became a film called Copenhagen. And now quantum storytelling is part of everyday theaters, movies, lots of them. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and enjoy yourself.